Hey everyone, a quick lunch break video about Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin's on the move. It's up about 10% in the last week or two from around $57,000. I converted my old Baumgar Corporation 401k. I converted the entire thing, literally 100% of it, to Bitcoin at a price of $57,300. The only elegant way I could do that was by buying the Fidelity Bitcoin ETF, which is FBTC. F is in Fidelity, also Foxtrot. Anyway, FBTC, the first three continents of the word Bitcoin, FBTC. So anyway, I converted 100% of my old my old Baumgar Corporation 401k into Bitcoin at 57,300. It's gone up about 10% since I did that to above 63,000 right now. So important thing now that Bitcoin's a bit on the move, up 10%. One of these times it's just going to break out and, set new all-time highs, and it always does that eventually. So two things are going to happen. One, and I want to make these predictions because I know what's going to happen is people are going to feel this way and they're not going to know why they feel this way. So I want to tell you you're going to feel this way before it happens. All right. So the price is 63,000 right now. It'll zoom up to, 70,000, 80,000. Let's say it's 85,000. And then it's going to drop back to 81,000. I don't know. I'm just making up numbers. I'm just saying it's going to be substantially higher than now, and then it'll drop back. Two things will immediately happen. One, people are going to forget how much up it's been. They're going to forget that in a matter of a month or two, it went from 57,000 to 85,000, which for any $1 trillion asset is like this insanely large jump. So first, people are going to immediately forget that happened, and they'll think of Bitcoin as an $85,000 a coin asset. And they will completely forget that it was just a $57,000 asset, and that 85 is, $10,000, $11,000 higher than the all-time high it's ever been in human history. So the first thing is immediately they're going to forget that. Two, no matter how high the price of Bitcoin goes, it will then come back some, right? Because no asset just goes continually up. So it goes up and then it retreats. And of course, I do not recommend you ever wait for a retreat to invest because you don't know. You don't know when it's going to retreat. You don't know by how much. And waiting is typically a recipe for losing because you end up sitting on the sideline and then it just runs away from you and you end up having to buy it at a much higher price, or you end up never buying at all, which is what usually happens when people are waiting for a better price. They just never buy at all, regardless of what the price is. So again, two things are going to happen. One, people are going to forget about that huge run up. And two, they're going to forget what the last 90 days or so felt like. I think we've been chopping sideways like 81 days now or something like that. It's, call it 80 to 90 days. So Bitcoin's going to run up to, let's call it $85,000. It'll drop back to like $81,000. And then people are going to immediately feel like, oh no, what's wrong with Bitcoin? Why is it down? Well, okay, let's evaluate that feeling. First of all, if it runs up to 85 and then goes to 81, is it really down? I mean, we're looking at 63 right now. So if it goes from 63 up to 85 down to 81, it's still up. It's still up a lot. But people are going to forget. They're going to forget how, because once any asset, this is not unique to Bitcoin, once any asset rises and then falls back a little bit, which all assets do, 100% of major assets, once they run up any amount, they inevitably drop back some. You don't know how much and you don't know when, but they'll do that. Every investment does that. So immediately people will forget about the rise and they'll focus on the fall. And they'll say, wow, Bitcoin's down 5%. It's like, come on, people, it's down 5% from 85,000 down to 81,000, which is like way higher than 63,000 of where it is today. So first they'll completely lose that perspective. That always happens. People immediately lose perspective and they think it's down. Well, by that definition, virtually all assets are always down because almost never are you ever holding an asset that is at its all-time high at that exact minute in time. So virtually all assets go up and down and up and down. Even if they're going up over the long term, they go up and down, which means the vast majority of times you're not sitting at an all-time high, which means it feels like it's down. So again, the first thing people are going to do is they're going to forget how the run up, and they'll focus on the fact that it drops from 85,000 to 81,000 a coin, and they'll feel like it's down 5%. Instead of what they should do, which is focus on the fact that it's up like 50% or 30% or some huge number. The second is they'll feel like they will forget the last 80 or 90 days of sideways chop. And so what people are going to feel like is, oh no, what's wrong with Bitcoin? It's down 5%. And now it's down 2 days and it's still down 5% after 2 days or 3 days or 5 days or a week. And they will totally forget that Bitcoin has been chopping sideways for like 90 days now, or 81 days or 82 days or whatever the exact number is. they'll forget exactly what this feels like, which means when Bitcoin does a huge run up and then it falls back, it'll feel like it's the first time it's ever done it. People will feel like, I don't know, maybe something's wrong with Bitcoin. Maybe it's not as exciting as it was because it's not as high, at its all-time high. Maybe I shouldn't buy more because it's down. People just feel a bunch of stuff that is irrational, but it's the way people feel anytime an investment does that. So I'm telling you this now because I want you to expect it. We're going to get a huge run-up in prices at some point in the near future, and then it'll fall back some, and people will forget about the huge run-up, and they will focus on the fallback. And then they will wonder why it's not immediately running up to a stratospheric new all-time high, and they will completely, forget about the fact that for 82 days we chopped sideways before that huge run. So I just want to tell you this because I feel like it's worth knowing. It's worth knowing that every asset does that and that every asset feels that way. And that way, when it does it, it won't feel weird. It'll feel like, oh, this is normal. So anyway, what is the good way of refocusing? The good way of refocusing is, one, focus on zoom out and focus on the huge run up over the last 12 months or the last 6 months or whatever time frame. Focus on the huge run up, not the last day or the last week or whatever. Although for Bitcoin, the last day and the last week has been fantastic, but that's just happens to be the last day and the last week. So one, focus on zoom out and focus on the long term. And two, remember that at various points in the past, you get sideways price action for long periods of time. Like if you can't imagine how painful it was to be in Bitcoin from 2014, 2015, 2016, right? There's like 3 years of sideways price action back in the early days of Bitcoin, or 2018, 2019, 2020. I mean, that's just a long time. That's just a long time. So anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up on all of that. Thought it would be helpful. Zoom out, focus on the long haul. I believe now is a fantastic time to buy Bitcoin, and I don't see that changing in the near term, although I think in the near term it's about to be a whole lot more expensive. But how soon that happens, I don't know. That's unknowable. But a couple other highlights. Larry Fink, the head of BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world with more than 10 trillion under assets, was on, I think, CNBC today talking about how much he believes in Bitcoin and how it's a viable asset class and it ought to be in traditional portfolios. So he has turned from a skeptic to a believer to a big believer now, and he's manages more money than anyone else on the planet. And a lot of other good news, just a lot of little things here and there that make me think it's just a matter of time until this spring that's wound up super tight unleashes to the upside. And when that happens, I don't know, but I'm just got as much assets as I can possibly have in Bitcoin, and I'm ready to rock and roll, and hope you are as well. Hope this helps. Thanks.